Hello, I'm Verdi Augusto. This is the Human Resonances with Verdi, and I'm your host. What do we got here?
As logic stands, you couldn't meet a man who's from the future. But logic broke as he appeared. He spoke about the future. We're not gonna make it. He explained how the end will come. You and me were never meant to be part of the future. All we have is now. All we've ever had is now. All we have is now. All we've ever had is now. I noticed that he had a watching hand that looked familiar. He was made from a dimension torn free of the future. We're not gonna make it. He explained how the end will come. You and me were never meant to be part of the future. All we have is now. All we've ever had is now. All we have is now. All we've ever had is now. All we have is now.
Okay, we're live. Thank you for being here. That's one of the most beautiful songs that I know. It's by the Flaming Lips. It's called "All That We Have Is Now," and it's very poignant, right? It says we're not going to make it. Tells us how the end will come. You and I were never meant to be part of the future. And that's how I see some of part of the humans who've come into human form, that we've come here to help. It's a temporary thing. We're not here for the long haul. And we give our best to you that you will make the right decisions. So, on that wonderful, cheery note, Okay, pull it back, pull it back. All right, we are officially back. The music didn't really go with the mood at the moment, but I needed a chance to kind of adjust myself. Clipped my hair yesterday, and I still got these freaking stragglers. It's like a mirror. I can see myself in the thing as I'm looking. Right, that's how I know everything's working. It's like a monitor. I get to see myself. Um, Clipped myself yesterday, and it's still just not quite. Yeah. It's always better to have someone do your hair for you than use the Flowbee method. Anyway, thank you for being here. Thanks for showing up. I'm making an effort. I trimmed. It's obvious. Thanks for being here. At this time, we need to have each other. Because it's not a foregone conclusion that we are going to make it, right? It's a foregone conclusion that there's going to be a big, huge, monstrous change, and most people are just not ready for it. It's just, I don't know how to make it any simpler or easier than that. And if there's a positive spin to be put on it, it's that you have the ability to change that for yourself, not for the whole world, but for yourself. And that's kind of what this whole thing is about you doing for yourself, showing, being the example, being the light in the pathway of others, and then them seeing, and them for them to be able to do it for themselves, and not for one person to do it for the world. How much energy do you think one person has to do it for everyone else who's just lazy or stupid or just la-di-da, or don't want to believe what's happening in front of their eyes, right? And that's part of what this whole thing of the inception time is, that there's a lull here to allow you to prepare. And there's those of us, me, and a few others relative to the population. There's a few others. Says it in the Bible, the work is many and the laborers are few, the workers are few. Well, there's a few of us who are saying, the time is now, the time is at hand. It's a lull, it's decent enough, but don't let that get you misguided or misdirected, believing that the uniformity, it extends indefinitely, that we go millions of years where nothing happens. It's so not the case. There is a, cosmically speaking, every 6,000 years, there's last time was a flood, just a simple flood. And yet the water of this planet seems to have a mind of its own. Don't forget that. The water of the planet has a mind of its own. It is of the planet, and you can get it to do certain things, of your own, and yet there's going to be an equal trade-off, an equal offset to that somewhere. Eventually, the water finds its way back to the floodplains, right? And it's important to understand that the equilibrium of all of the system at work, that it's not just it's not just like, oh, yeah, there's a change in the climate or whatever, that the weather, meaning the hot and cold and more rain. It's like, man, the whole world is about ready to flip on its axis. Crustal displacement. Right? That's the theory, the most leading going theory to explain what's going on now and what's going to happen, that that these things are cyclical, they're periodical. The Earth is intelligent, and it resets itself because the shithead residents of the planet don't want to do their part to give back into the, to take whatever time it took to engineer all the cardboard boxes, to then, as part of society, as a function of society, to collect all the cardboard and reuse it for something useful. Right? Rather than make it, like all of the waste that we have, all of the people that go into making everything so amazing, and yet the waste behind everything is only given as an afterthought of, well, let's just throw it away, toss it away. Right? All the engineering, all the billions of dollars that went into making packaging, no thought given except it's waste, right? So the planet itself, right? If you don't think it's your obligation to do anything with the waste that you yourself create, one for themselves, one person for themselves, right? Boom, best you can, right? That's your standard. Just do the best you can, right? From there, then it progresses outward, and yet societally speaking, not much, if anything, is given to that. In fact, a lot of the packaging we get is toxic, right? The plastics, yeah, the biodegradable, yeah, whatever, they're toxic. The packaging and all this plastic, all this stuff, and domestic electronics, right? And this is part of the purification process that we're going through now, that also goes with the ideology and the ideologues who spread the wokeism and all this sentientism, that you don't have to do anything. You can just be lazy and it'll do it for you. And you can be as stupid and lazy as you feel, and the earth will do it for you, because we're all going to send away in a cloud and blah, 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 blah. Right? Nope. I personally assure you, none of that is going to be happening. Right? The work is most definitely there. It is most definitely hard work because of all the inertia, as I've explained this, all the inertia against you making those clear decisions to do 100% the best for your life, right? You're given charge, the collective consciousness you're given charge over all of everything, that you got to be responsible for all of the change when people aren't doing their part of it. Like, no, that's not how the universe sees it. That's not how God's accounting you for the change of the world. It's like, how did you do on your part? Right? You're just given your part. And why is that? Why is it not such a collective thing if we're all ascending together as one massive group? Because there's still a lot of clearing of people in their own individual will and their own individual choice, making the wrong choice, making it deadly, making it toxic, making it a distressing choice of their own for themselves on behalf of, well, we're doing it for the collective or whatever. Right? There's this big mess that's happening of where people's, what their side of the street is and what they should be taking care of for themselves, right? And it's part of the lesson here, right? Is what's our responsibility and what's your responsibility for yourself and your life, and don't mind what other people are doing. You have enough crap of your own, and that may be your own shitty attitude that you need to deal with before directing other people in what they need to do, right? That's part of more of the Piscean antics that are being transposed through wokeism or through some emotional idealism that is allowed to be festered in this time and age, right? It's like it's the closing of the accounts means you get to see all of the dirty shit that has been going on that you didn't want to see, that you could have closed your eyes to before, but now it's got to come out, right? And they're trying to justify a lot of this. That's why a lot of laws are changing to, like, a lot of stuff on the foundational level is changing, fundamental foundational level of society is changing to allow for the freaks that were messing up stuff in the government and behind the scenes, to allow them to get away as everything gets the accounting with the laws, right? People need to be held accountable for their own bad, crappy actions. And that's part of, like, what's happening, with certain celebrities who went for, in court, that you saw, like, all of the dirty laundry was aired, and you could see the worst example of humanity out there in public, and yet it doesn't get cleared out until it gets publicized for all of us to see. And that's part, like, that's how, like, I'm trying to, kind of, here's this I'm trying to give a sort of a grand view of what's happening relative to the material that we're talking about, the complexity of the soul, the individual will, right? This is still what we're talking about here, right? What makes the individual will so unique and different and dangerous and deadly here on the planet because it's been given so much power. And how is that? Why is that? Why and wherefore is the individual decision so important here in the biological bodysuit of the Adamu? Why is that? Right? And this is why. This is why the complexity of the soul. It is not a simple matter just to be a human. There's very right. This isn't simple, right? You are given complete free will to be able to pick and choose, one or the other, and so like this is to make a decision is so incredibly complex that a lot of people don't actually make a decision, and they let things go. They let things ride. They don't act on their will. They don't act on what they feel or what they believe. Right? It is that powerful of a facet of being human. The personality. Like this is the power of the personality. We talk about here, when we're doing the Schumann resonances and the atmospheric electromagnetics, the power of the atmosphere, the power of, the atmospherics, the lightning, and yeah, lightning itself is powerful, yet people have survived it, right? And people have survived things that should have killed them, partly because it is the will to survive and to live, right? And I mean, I don't know how complex the desire to live is. It seems a pretty basic thing, yet that extends beyond the circumstances, not accepting certain death, and being able to see your way out of it, right? Logically, intellectually, that I don't know where, but the time will come and the moment will come and I'll be able to get out of here and, and live, So that's a desire that can transcend the immediate surroundings. And it's like even your body feels like quitting and shutting down, yet you go on further until you reach safety or until you rescue your family or whatever, right? Mind over matter, right? And so that's kind of what I'm saying, that maybe everyone can have that. Maybe people have it if they exercise it, right? So I don't like there's a question mark here, right? I'm not making more statements than I am asking questions, right? And so this is how I'm going into this, right? The following that I'm reading here, the complexity, this is in quotes. All of this should have quotes on it because this isn't my work. I'm going to, this section here, 2.3, is actually from the website that I have up here, Ancient Origins. And so I'm just kind of going to read through it, and just this section here for this video. And 23 minutes, may or may not be an hour. Right, so the will to live, the will to survive, the will to, survive under adverse circumstances when you should otherwise be dead, right? You should have died, but it didn't, is it a miracle? Is it God? Or is it just an immense amount of the will of the person to survive and to move on and to change, right? Like, that's, because quite honestly, that's what I'm talking about here with like this ascension thing. It is so not automatic. It is almost like escaping. It is like a near-death experience, right, in my humble opinion, that it is so far removed from average humans, from the way and being of average humans, how they have been, how it has been, how I've understood it to have been 54 years that I'm alive now, for 53, whatever, that it's so far removed removed from people, this ascension, what people think that, you know, what ascension is and what's happening and all of this, so far removed from the average person that it is as if going through a fall that should have killed you or did kill you, and yet death didn't want you and it kicked you back. Like, that's what happened to me. I died, death didn't want me and kicked me back into life. So the type of ascension that people think of, the type of ascension that's not simply you finishing your contract, the type of ascension that people believe that, you know, is coming from the Schumann resonances, this automatic type that people have signed on to with this ascensionism, it is so far removed from them and their living and their life. It is like going through the death portal. It's that difficult for them. Like, literally, like Christ says, it's like a camel going through the eye of a needle. Right? It is that difficult for them to get the ascension on the path that, whatever, all the stuff that I hear, that I read about, right? Just, you know, the feel good and the blah, 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 and the Schumann resonances are rising, and these are ascension symptoms, and all of this, all of the theater, the drama that come with this age into the inception of the new age, right? It is that far removed that it is literally like going through the death portal and being dead and dealing with death. Hopefully, I don't know if I said that exactly properly, correctly, that you kind of are getting what I'm saying, but I think you can get the gist of what I'm saying, of how far removed the actual ascension is relative to what it takes for them to have to get the ascension that they're looking for. You know, that's the fairest way to put it. I don't have that. You either grok the shit out of that, or you don't. Right? You either can groove on it, or you shot up. Right? And this is as easy, as basic, fundamental as I can make it. When I talk about the rhetoric and all of the mind games that they're playing on you, of just the like, it's like a hot air balloon. You fill your head with hot air, and there's just nothing there except the power of the words themselves. And there's nothing, you haven't done any work except the thinking of trying to just do the thinking of the words, right? Just all linking the words into the head, right? Just no practice. There's been nothing, no actual physical growth there attached to your physical, the DNA suit that you're attached to, you're embedded within. And so it's really important to understand the power of the personality, that the personality itself is a force that can either propel you or just keeps you stuck. Both, because both can happen. Both paths are there. The path of growth and the path of you just being stuck, which is the majority of what people, you know, without, at this point, right? Believe what you want, right? But what I see, just my little corner of the world, right? There's a lot of pretend stuff. There's a lot of, you know, like, I don't know what you got. Yeah, it's whatever, you know. But I got to remember, the bar for humans is very low. So it's not up for me to make these decisions for other people. They may have made just enough small incremental changes in their life that they pass the minimum threshold, right? It's not for me. I'm not the one. I'm just saying, giving the principles of success, of what, you know, what needs to happen in the process, right? And you know, and you believe what you want, do what you want, right? Follow whatever pathway you want. I don't care. It's not for me, right? I'm giving you kind of what worked here in my life, what I know, what my guides have told me that is important for people, you know. I need motivation to not lose hope and not lose faith. All right, so we're gonna play. Before I get into this, I'm just gonna play 10 minutes of Aronmix, the official, Aronmix. The one I played was just to get my mind into the game here. So we're gonna play some Aronmix, and we're gonna be happy. I'm gonna play 10 minutes, and life will be grand. Actually, I might go up to 15 minutes and go right to the 45-minute break, and then go from there. That'll count as the minimum, our union break. We can make it work anyway. All right, so we have music. I'm a hot mess. I'm Verde. I'm here. I'm doing this because I need to. I'm. It's just time for this to come out. I'm here. I'm doing the job. All right. So, smoke up, take out.
When you feel you're going
let's bring it back home. All right, so that's not quite 8 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever. It's 37. Please. I stopped it because it seems to be skipping. I'm not sure what the problem is. Maybe because I got a bunch of things going on right now or something. There was also something else. My guides reminded me that in some countries the videos are blocked because of the music. So there's been patches where I've done videos without music in them for this purposes. So the one of the ones that I did, the 1.11, the last one I did of that last series was it's banned in New Zealand, and I have at least one viewer in New Zealand who isn't able to see that because of that. So I caramba. So I'm gonna have to figure out something to do with that. But the thing about the music is there's a bunch of songs in there. They all just get strung together as one mix, right? That's what it is. It's a mix. It's not just a song. It's a mix of a bunch of songs. So in there, like I have the option of removing that part that's banned in New Zealand and then leave it without music. Or I can go in and make the video smaller without the music, and I've done that. And so that's something I'm going to have to consider, and that's something I do need to consider in doing these, is that there are places that the music is banned, and people, like Chana, she's one of my subs. She's been there for a while. She's on Facebook. I was a mod for her group. She can't see the video. Bradley reminded me of that. He got a message from her somehow through the line. So that's something to consider for me. So that ran in my head while I was playing the music, and I'm like, you know what, let me just give 8 minutes. And this is something that caramba, to consider, that if I'm playing less music, it's because there's more of a chance something is going to get banned. And there's a few videos that are banned in some countries because of the music, right? And so it's just, there's a handful of videos that have been banned in certain countries, so it's not the first one. I get copyright claims on all of these, so I don't even look at them anymore. It's like, comes up, there's an issue, like, yeah, okay, yeah, what's new? So but that's something to consider, that, with the music comes these issues, just comes with it. So, and it's the same thing with the video, the one that I just played. It's like there's a chance that that's going to get hit in some way, and so later versions of this video may appear without the Flaming Lips song at the beginning. All right, that's just a thing that can happen. All right, so the foregoing has been a public service announcement regarding the copyrights, regarding YouTube, regarding the music, regarding potential banning in certain countries because of the music. Okay, yeehaw, I'm part of it. I'm here with everything else too. Like, no one gets a free pass. I try to make it non-commercial, right? That's an important thing, making it non-commercial, but still, the rights of the artists, well, they're not non-commercial at any rate. All right, so this is coming from Ancient Origins, and I have their, I started kind of scrolling through the introduction at the beginning there, so you can kind of read. Hopefully you read, hopefully you can see it. All right, so this is called The Complexity of the Soul. The way ancient Egyptians divided the soul is indicative of how important it was to them. It was clearly something which had been thought about in a tremendous amount of detail, and it was the crux of their beliefs about the afterlife and how a person could reach it. Their beliefs about the soul also dictated the way they treated a body after death. Mummification, an icon part of ancient Egyptian culture, was a result of their beliefs about the Khat, and other parts of the soul needing a place to live. And I don't think they revered the cat in the same way that they, like Khat, but they did revere cats. They believed that the cat, the animal, the feline, was an emissary to the spirit world. I don't know much more about that, but they held a high respect for cats in general. But I don't think this Khat was the same cat as the meow, the feline, right? For what that's worth. Their beliefs of the soul dictated the way. Mummification, an iconic part of ancient Egyptian culture, was a result of their beliefs that the Khat and other parts of the soul needed a place to live. So, like, that's the body of the person is the cat, right? That your body is a soul. It's an intelligent entity. I think that's the best way to put it. The 9 aspects of the soul have influenced many other parts of Egyptian culture too. From the violent removal of names to destroy the Ren, to the creator of texts, the Ren is the name, to the creation of texts such as the Book of the Dead, the soul was pivotal to much of the culture and society of ancient Egypt. Without this complicated belief system, many of the artifacts which have become iconic and world-renowned elements of ancient Egyptian culture would not have been developed, and the fascinating world which has captured many a modern imagination may have left very different treasures behind. AncientOrigins.net. The ancient Egyptians held that the human is composed of 9 individual parts to a soul. Here are 2 souls that are important to mention this time. So now, how important is it to go through all of them? Well, it is interesting on a level. And one of the souls that they give is the name, right? So this is part of what we're talking about. I'd say the personality and the heart. All right, and so the name was one of those things in there, which was that he was just talking about that, the Ren. Right. So I didn't want to get too involved in this. All right, there's 2, but it's like there's 9 freaking parts to this. Like I'm not gonna, I'm not bringing all of them in. They're not all relevant, and yet we have another mention there of the name, and that's what we have when we talk about the power and the blood of the power of the name of Jesus, right? They talk about in the Bible, the name of Jesus, right? So this is something that we go on into a little bit later, the power of the blood and the power of the personality, the power of the DNA. Like, this is all sort of what we're talking about here. And these are all you. You're at the core of you, of who you are, of you being human, you being something special or unique, right? This is at the core of it, right? Of you being human, and why it is so difficult to affect positive change here with the humans. All right, so I'm going to play some music because I need, sounds like I need some water or drink, whatever. All right, so I'll give it a few minutes.
Saturday night. We run Friday night. We run Saturday night. We own the club. We get it cracking tonight. Yeah.
Yay. Pull it back. Yeehaw. Oh, yeah. All right. Okay, we're back. All right. I'm live. All right. And I'm your host, 31Oct2022. I am a hot mess, and I am so not ready to do this. I am the least ready for primetime player of all of them, I do believe. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I appreciate everyone and all your time. So this is the personality, right? What they're showing you here. Hold on. Hold, please. System processing. Please wait. Where am I? There we go. Okay, there we go. All right. So they're showing you right here the bird. This is the ba. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. All right. Yeah. All right. So this right here, they're showing you. Here we go. Yeah, the bird. The ba. Right. So it's taking the form of a bird with a huge head. The ba was the way the soul could move between the mortal realm and the spirit one. The mortal realm is obviously here, you and me, here in the YouTube land. The Egyptians believed that the ba still traveled between both realms occasionally while the person was still alive, but that the journey the ba made between worlds increased significantly after death. All right. So they're giving you this as a symbol of a bird. You know, I think that's a wonderful, you know, birds are you know, messengers from the gods, right? That's why some people I think are afraid of birds, you know. Maybe they've been attacked by a bird. I don't know. Who am I to say? So anyway, all right. So, and I'm going to leave that up so we can see it in the background. The ba is perhaps the closest the ancient Egyptians had to the modern ideas about the soul. It made up all the elements of a person that made them unique. Taking the form of a bird was with a human head, the ba was the way the soul could move between the mortal realm and the spiritual one. The Egyptians believed that the ba still traveled between the two realms occasionally when a person was still alive, but that the journey the ba made between worlds increased significantly after death, right? So there you go. So I just read that. So that's telling you that it lives on after death of, you know, depart this mortal coil, right? The ba would visit the gods in the spiritual realm, but it also was this part of the soul which would also frequent the places a person loved when they were still alive, maintaining a link between the parts of the soul which dwelled among the stars and the Khat, which was the body, and other elements of the soul which remained on earth, right? So that's why they mummified the body and treated it so well, because, right, it's the seat of the ba when it comes back to visit the earth, to help, assumedly to help the loved ones who are still here left behind, right? The idea that the ba would spend time in places a person loved during life is also similar to some modern ideas about ghosts and spirits lingering at a place that, once loved by a particular person when they were alive. The ba is also believed to be connected physically to the body, and it would remain with the Khat when it was not visiting other physical places or communicating with the gods. Okay, so let's give you a chance to digest that.
Going
Okay, let's bring it back home. Bring it on down. Alrighty. Wonderful. Fabulous. All right. So just a little musical break between them, just to give you a chance to process all that. The like goes on after death. I mean, that's part of one of the things of their culture, that they very much believed that there was parts of you that left but then came back, right? Like, and that's something that's very much missing with the Western view of all of this, that once you're dead and you're gone, that you're not around anymore. And that's a very disheartening, demoralizing kind of thought to have to hold on to, right? And it's like, there is a loss of that person physically, physically, the body itself, right? But then it's like there is more to you that goes on after the body gives up the ghost, as they say. And so part of one of the things of helping you, a person, live longer is for you to help someone enjoy life more fruitfully, more abundantly, show them how to have maybe better attitude and stuff, and look at things in a different way they hadn't before, right? Help them learn how to use tools, right? Help them to develop their skills, help them give other people a positive message, right? Like, these are things that help you to be immortal, right? Let me tell you about this thing that someone told me about, that's how was one, again, it always goes back to one on one, 1 to 1. The heart right here. You can't, that's where people go wrong a lot of times, thinking that they have enough heart that if they just do it, others will see and it'll be contagious. And that's not how it works. You have to address 1 to 1 a person at that level of the heart, of theirs as well, of talking with that other person, getting to know them and finding out what moves them, and they're, finding out where they're at with this, right? And so without that, without their permission, without their will, they're certainly not going to grow. That's why the Schumann resonances, no matter what they're doing, aren't doing anything for someone, because it begins at the heart of the individual, deep down at the heart of the individual, of whether or not they're ready to accept moving on and being the type of good person that you need to be to move on, rather than stuck here in the swamp and the drudge of this planet. Not that the earth itself isn't a wonderful planet, but oh good golly, right? Oh good golly, it's time to move on into the spiritual plane, into a spiritual existence, and that is giving up a lot of the attachments of the physical realm, such as the clock, right? That's one big example. Time, with the watch, the wristwatch, sticking to absolute deadlines and being stressed out that you're 5 minutes late or whatever, or things are taking a little bit longer than you'd like or whatever. General impatience of people, like, that's a thing that's huge and important, right? Anyway, so with that, let me get back on track. So I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Jiba. Forgive me for butchering that in a bunch of different ways. Just as many people still believe today, the ancient Egyptians saw the heart as a home of human emotion. It was also considered the center of thought, will, and intention. This meant the jibba, the heart, was a very important part of the soul for them, and the word appears in many sayings and expressions in ancient Egyptian writings. While English expressions often refer to the heart as a metaphor, in ancient Egyptian sayings, mentioning the heart is referring to the physical heart. Because that's literally where your emotions, your thought, your will, you see it right there. Where, I don't know. It was also considered the center of thought, will, and intention. Right? That's the physical implement in which thoughts are generated, according to them, the will and the intention. And a lot of people would say, oh, that's nonsense. We know it's the head. Well, do we? Do you? Do you really? Do they? Because the scientists on the cutting edge don't believe that consciousness rests in the head, right? I mean, yeah, you have it to control the functions of the body, sure, absolutely, and there is a type of thought that goes in the head, but quite honestly, I think the thinking is a victim to the feelings and emotions, emotional subset of the people. And I also include, again, I have included the intuitive functions and psychic abilities within the emotional subset of the people. So doing math intuitively also counts. Like Alex, he can do numbers and look at them and figure it out without having to write it down. I can't do that. He can add numbers in his head looking at them, and like, other people do. Ralph Abrams, mathematician, says mathematicians have a landscape they don't tell the others about, but that's what gives them the ability to do numbers the way they do. Right? So it's important to note that, and intention, your will, your intention, and the thoughts, the desires you have that go with that, right? Like those are all included in there of going and belonging to the heart, the realm of the heart, right? As an element of the soul, the jib was the part of a person used to gain access to the afterlife. The heart would be weighed on a scale against the feather of truth, and if the heart weighed more than the feather, a person was denied access to the afterlife, and their heart was eaten by a demon called Amit, who was described as a fearsome lion-hippo-crocodile hybrid. Chimera of sorts. Doesn't sound fun. Lion, hippo, crocodile is going to eat your heart if you're found wanting. You've been weighed, found lacking, found wanting. To preserve and protect the jib, the heart would be specially embalmed and then placed with the rest of the body along with a heart scarab, which was a magical amulet intended to prevent the heart giving away too much information about a person and jeopardizing their success in passing the weighing of the heart. Okay, I wonder how well that worked. We'd have to ask the dead, and the dead aren't talking, unfortunately. All right. So this is essentially at the end of the material. It's a little over an hour. You know, I'm not going to make this too much longer than an hour with the music. I'm not going to go crazy with it. Maybe an hour and 15, I think, total. Whatever. Hour 10, whatever. Anyway, I'm going to play some music and be out of here. But this was, I thought this was an important kind of session, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of you that'll get something out of this. Just protect your own energy, right? Your individual field, right? Don't let others coerce you into being part of their shit show. Right? That's part of what the ability to think and process and reason and ration what's going around you, so that you don't become emotionally, magnetically wound up in something that isn't yours to be wound up about. Right? And it's part of the grounding process, part of the clearing process of getting rid of the ballast and the stuff that people tap into that trigger you. It's really important to start clearing out the stuff that triggers you. Triggers me, triggers you, triggers us, right? So, on that cheery note, let me play some music and end this on a cheery note, if I may.
Tomorrow
Okay, it's time. So, everyone, have a good rest of your night. Thank you for being here. Namaste.